Level 1. The Vanished Wonders. These guys came out of nowhere, took over the world for a few wild months, and then vanished so fast that even Google had to remember them for us. Los del Rio were two middle-aged Spanish men who had been performing traditional flamenco songs for decades before a Miami DJ remixed their tune Macarena in 1993. The new beat, plus that silly but addictive dance, turned into a whole trend in 1995. Every party, wedding, and school event had people waving their arms in the air to Hey Macarena. The song hit #1 in more than 10 countries and stayed on the Billboard Hot 100 for 14 weeks straight. But after the hype cooled off, no one wanted another version or even another song from them. They tried to make follow-up singles like Macarena Christmas, but the magic was gone. People had moved on. Then there were the Baha Men, a Bahamian band who spent years making music nobody outside Nassau cared about until Who Let the Dogs Out exploded in 2000. The funny thing is, the song wasn't even originally written by them. It actually came from a Trinidadian artist named Anselm Douglas. But the Baha Men's loud voices, sound effects, and sports stadium energy turned it into an anthem for every baseball and football game in America. The song was so good that it won a Grammy for Best Dance Recording and made them instant celebrities. But soon, all that noise became annoying. The group tried to release follow-ups like Move It Like This, but no one cared anymore. They became the band that unleashed the dogs once and then disappeared into the noise. Right Said Fred had one of the strangest stories in British pop history. Two brothers, Richard and Fred Fairbrass, were already in their 30s and bald when they made I'm Too Sexy in 1991. It was a parody of self-obsessed male models, full of cheesy lines like, I'm too sexy for my shirt. Ironically, it became a worldwide hit and topped charts from the US to Japan. People thought it was hilarious, fun, and weirdly catchy. The brothers walked around shirtless, owning the joke. But after that, no one cared about their next songs. Level 2. The 90s Radio Ghosts. This level is for the songs that ruled car radios for a few months and then vanished quietly. One perfect example is Closing Time by Semisonic. It was that song that somehow became the official soundtrack to every bar's last call in the late 90s. You could walk into any place with a jukebox, and by midnight someone was guaranteed to play it. It had that perfect mix of sadness and comfort that made people move, hug strangers, and pretend they were deep thinkers. But the song actually wasn't about bars at all. Dan Wilson, the lead singer, said it was about becoming a father, but no one noticed because everyone was too busy screaming the lyrics like it was the end of the world. The song made the band famous overnight, but after that, there was nothing. Their next releases didn't stick. They really used the goodbye song to say goodbye to the band. Dan Wilson didn't disappear, though. He quietly became one of the biggest behind-the-scenes songwriters ever, working with Adele and Taylor Swift. He even ended up writing Grammy-winning hits for others while his own band stopped trending in 1998. Then there's Save Tonight by Eagle Eye Cherry, which had that laid-back rhythm that made you want to sit by a window and stare at the night sky. It was calm, emotional, and catchy enough to play on loop without getting sick of it. Everyone had that CD somewhere, in their car, their dorm, or stuck halfway in a stereo. For months, the song topped radio charts, then Eagle Eye Cherry just vanished. That was really strange because he had the talent, charm, and that mysterious cool energy that made him look like he'd be around forever. But once Save Tonight faded out, so did his name. He kept making albums, but no one cared. And the craziest part is that he came from a family of legends. His sister, Nana Cherry, and his father, jazz trumpeter Don Cherry, were both famous musicians, yet somehow he became the most famous one for just one song. Another song on this level is Torn by Natalie Imbruglia. It was the queen of 90s emotional chaos. Everyone knows the words, even the parts that make no sense. That song was released in 1997 and instantly hit every broken heart. Sure, it wasn't her song originally. It was a cover, but she made it hers with her voice that sounded like she was both crying and holding it together at the same time. Even now, it's still her only hit song. Level 3. The Meme Survivors. Now this level of one-hit wonder fame hits different. Their one hit became a meme joke and nostalgic TikTok sound that everyone still sings even though the artists don't trend anymore. Every few months, the internet digs them up again, laughs, dances, and it trends like it's a new hit. Take Gangnam Style by PSY, for example. It didn't just go viral, it was basically a disease. This horse dance song from South Korea took over the entire planet in 2012. Everyone from kids to grandparents was trying that ridiculous dance at weddings, malls, and even the United Nations. It was the first YouTube video to hit 1 billion views, breaking the internet before breaking the internet was even a slang. PSY was so big that he performed in front of millions, and even taught politicians his dance moves. But after that, the excitement reduced. He released other songs, but the world had already decided that Gangnam Style was his legacy. Meanwhile, the song never died. It became an endless meme, popping up in TikTok clips, reaction videos, and random nostalgia playlists. PSY himself laughs about it now. We can't leave out Barbie Girl by Aqua. This one was pure 90s chaos covered in pink. It came out in 1997, and every kid loved it, while every parent hated it. The band was Danish-Norwegian, but they sounded like cartoon characters who lived in a toy store. The song was loud, strange, and catchy in a way that stuck to your brain before you realized it. It went #1 across Europe and the UK, and everyone knew the words by heart. Then came the drama. Mattel, the makers of Barbie, sued Aqua for mocking their doll, saying the song damaged the brand, but Aqua didn't care. They just laughed about it, and the lawsuit made them even more famous, but after that, that was it for them. The group kept releasing music, but the world had already moved on. The song, on the other hand, survived, and even decades later is still a meme used in every Barbie-related joke online. It had another viral comeback in 2023 with the Barbie movie. So yeah, the band's career might have faded, but the song became immortal. Then we have Somebody That I Used to Know by Gotye, a song that hits like a slow-motion heartbreak. It came out in 2011 and every radio station played it non-stop. The music video, with both of them painted into the background, became iconic instantly. Gotye won a Grammy, sold millions, and then gone. He didn't disappear because of a scandal or failure. He just quietly went back to doing his own thing, avoiding fame altogether. Level 4. The Party Forever types. These artists might not top charts anymore, but their songs still do. DJs keep playing them, brides request them at their wedding, and drunk uncles perform them at parties to get them hyped. They may be one-hit wonders on paper, but in real life, they've outlasted hundreds of other artists who had dozens of hits. You don't hear many 1970s or 1980s songs at every single party today, but you'll always hear these two. YMCA by Village People is one of them. It refuses to die, no matter how many decades pass. Released in 1978, it started as a disco anthem celebrating fun, community, and freedom, but quickly turned into a worldwide dance ritual. You hear it at weddings, baseball games, graduation parties, and even retirement homes. Everyone instantly knows what to do with their arms when the best drops like it's muscle memory passed down through generations. The Village People were 6 guys dressed as macho characters: a cop, a Native American, a cowboy, a construction worker, a biker, and a soldier. It was meant to be campy, funny, and full of energy, but ironically, the song that started as a wink to gay culture became the most family-friendly crowd song ever. Even people who have no idea who the Village People are can sing every word. The group tried to follow up with songs like Macho Man and In the Navy, but nothing ever came close. I'm Gonna Be by the Proclaimers is another example, and it just might be the most joyful love song ever shouted through Scottish accents. It was released in 1988, and became one of those tracks that can quickly turn a dull party into full chaos. The song is just two brothers, Charlie and Craig Reed, singing their hearts out about walking 500 miles for love, with that repetitive feel-good chorus. When it was first released, it was a modest hit in the UK, but the real viral outbreak of this hit came in 1993, when it was featured in the movie Benny and June. Suddenly, America fell in love with it, and it shot up the charts again 5 years after release. Since then, it's been in everything from romantic comedies and sports events to karaoke nights. No one can resist yelling "da da da da" after a few drinks. The Proclaimers kept making music for decades, but no other song ever reached that level of success. Level 5. The Cult Classics. These artists' one hits didn't top every chart, but they got loyal, lifelong fans. a-ha was made up of 3 Norwegian guys who looked like they were born to be in a glossy 80s magazine. Morten Harket, the lead singer with that movie star jawline and angelic voice, became the heartthrob of every teenager in 1985. But before a-ha's big hit, the band was just 3 ambitious dreamers recording songs that no one wanted to play on the radio. Take On Me actually didn't get popular overnight. The first 2 versions failed completely, and record companies almost gave up on them. The third version changed everything when they hired a genius director to create that half-cartoon, half-real music video. When MTV played it, the world went crazy. That pencil sketch animation made it look like Morten was stepping right out of a comic book to rescue a girl from a motorcycle gang. Fans went wild, and suddenly a-ha went from being unknown Norwegians to international pop royalty. The video won awards, the song hit #1 in America, and a-ha became the first Norwegian band to conquer global pop charts. Then, the sad part happened. After Take On Me, a-ha tried so hard to prove they were more than one-hit wonders. They released albums with deep, mature songs, but no one really cared. Every concert crowd just waited for that one song. Morten could sing opera-level high notes, but audiences only screamed when they heard that opening synth riff. Even their label told them to make another Take On Me, which made them frustrated because that kind of magic doesn't happen twice. By the time it was the early 90s, their fame outside Europe had faded, but in countries like Brazil, they were treated like gods. They still had fans crying and fainting at concerts. The world forgot their other songs, but those who truly loved a-ha never stopped defending them. And even now, that song is reborn again and again on TikTok, in movies, and at every retro party. It's almost funny how one song can trap a band forever while keeping them immortal at the same time. The Verve, on the other hand, had a completely different kind of story. They weren't flashy pop stars. They were moody British rockers who made music that felt heavy with meaning. When Bittersweet Symphony was released in 1997, it didn't sound like anything else on the radio. It was slow, poetic, and had this way of drawing you in. The video showed Richard Ashcroft, the lead singer, walking through a busy London street, bumping into people like he owned the world. That attitude became iconic. Calmness, rebellion, frustration, and coolness all in one. But what most people didn't know was that the band had unknowingly walked straight into a legal nightmare. The violin sample they used on the track was from a Rolling Stones orchestral version of The Last Time. And even though the Verve had permission to use a small part, the record label claimed they used too much. They sued the Verve, took the royalties, and even gave songwriting credit to Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. It was one of the biggest music scandals of the 90s. The band fell apart not long after. They broke up, got back together, and broke up again, but Bittersweet Symphony wouldn't die. Level 6, the Timeless Radio Kings. Both Survivor and Europe created songs that outgrew themselves completely. I mean, Survivor was just another Chicago rock band before Eye of the Tiger came along, and funny enough, that song almost never existed. In 1982, Sylvester Stallone personally called them after Queen refused to give permission to use Another One Bites the Dust for Rocky III. He wanted something new and could have an effect when it comes to emotions. So Survivor's guitarist Frankie Sullivan and keyboardist Jim Peterik wrote Eye of the Tiger in only a few days, sending Stallone a demo that still had fake drum sounds. He loved it so much that he used it in the film exactly like that. When the movie hit theaters, the song exploded. The opening guitar riff became one of the most recognizable in history. Suddenly, every sports team, gym, and fighter had to have that song. Survivor went from playing small venues to international fame in what felt like seconds, and their phones didn't stop ringing for deals for years. Unfortunately, the song grew so huge that it overshadowed the band's entire identity. Survivor made other songs like Burning Heart and High on You, but fans only wanted Eye of the Tiger. They could walk into a bar and someone would shout, "Play the Rocky song," even decades later. It became the ultimate get-up-and-fight anthem for everyone from athletes to office workers trying to survive Mondays. In fact, Jim Peterick once said he'd walk into grocery stores and hear the riff from speakers while people did something as simple as stocking cereal. It was both a dream and a curse. The song made them millionaires, but it also made it impossible for them to ever top it. Every new album was compared to that one hit. Survivor became the kind of band whose name people barely remembered, but whose song could still make a crowd throw punches in the air 40 years later. Europe's story was just as wild, but with way more hairspray and drama. They were Swedish, rockers with big dreams and even bigger hair. When they released The Final Countdown in 1986, they thought it was just a fun concert opener. It was based on a spacey keyboard riff written years earlier by their frontman, Joey Tempest. No one expected it to take over the world, but once it dropped, it went global. The song hit #1 in 25 countries, and that brass-like synth intro became the official sound of every victory moment on Earth. You could hear it at sports games, New Year's parties, and even weddings. But after The Final Countdown, Europe couldn't keep up with its own success. Level 7, The Eternal Legends. For the ultimate level between Carl Douglas's Kung Fu Fighting and Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up, we can't decide which one had the most massive run. Carl Douglas never expected a karate-themed disco song to make him famous. He wrote Kung Fu Fighting in 1974 as a quick filler track for his album, because he needed one more song to finish it. The studio gave him only 10 minutes of recording time, and he thought it was a joke more than a masterpiece. But it was that 10-minute song that changed his life. Once it hit the radio, it was the moment. Everyone was suddenly pretending to do kung fu moves on dance floors. The song sold over 11 million copies worldwide and hit #1 in the US and the UK all at once. What also made it so addictive was that it came out right when martial arts movies were taking over theaters, and the disco beat made it impossible not to dance to. Although Carl Douglas became an overnight superstar with that track, the fame was short-lived. He tried to release more songs like Dance the Kung Fu and Run Back, but people only wanted Kung Fu Fighting. It didn't matter what he did. Everyone saw him as that Kung Fu guy. Even decades later, whenever the song comes on, the crowd immediately starts throwing fake kicks and chop moves. It became one of those songs that are so famous, they almost stop belonging to the original artist. In interviews, Carl said he was proud of it, but also admitted it trapped him. He couldn't perform a concert without it because that was what everyone came for. He became part of pop culture history, even appearing in movie soundtracks, commercials, and edits of Kung Fu Panda long after the disco era died. Not bad for a song he wrote in less than an hour. Rick Astley's case was a bit different. It survived through both the 80s and the internet era. When he released Never Gonna Give You Up in 1987, he was just a shy 21-year-old British kid with a deep voice that didn't match his baby face, but the song instantly blew up. It topped charts in 25 countries and turned him into the people's favorite overnight, but what made the whole thing unbelievable was that he didn't even want to be famous. His producers, Stock Aitken Waterman, were known for making hits, and they basically built Rick's image from scratch. He went along with it, dressed in the pastel suits, danced awkwardly in the video, and suddenly found himself touring the world. Fans loved him so much that he couldn't even walk down the street without getting mobbed. Then the fame burned him out fast. Rick walked away from the spotlight by his late 20s because he wanted a normal life. He handled jokes of the track better than anyone expected, though. Instead of being annoyed, he joined the joke. And now, Never Gonna Give You Up is the internet's international anthem. What's your favorite one-hit wonder? We'd love to know, so drop them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, then hit the like button and share it with everyone you know who would love to see it. If you'd like more videos like this, then subscribe to our channel and hit the notification icon so you don't miss our next videos.